Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at correlation analysis. My name is Steven Bondoni and this presentation is brought to you through California Intercontinental University's Business Research Methodology and Quantitative Statistics, taught by Dr. Nigel Basta. Throughout this presentation, we're going to talk about the correlation analysis, specifically what it is and why it is important. We will review 6 hypothesis tests and discuss their significance. Afterwards, we will summarize the lessons learned and open the discussion for questions. References to this material can be found on the last slide. So why is correlation analysis important? The correlation is one of the most common and most useful statistics. A correlation is a single number that describes the degree of relationship between two variables. Correlation analysis not only identifies if a relationship exists, but it also addresses how strong the relationship is through a correlation coefficient. People use this data to make predictions. For example, if we know that a strong correlation exists between eating sweets and gaining weight, then a prediction can be made that someone that overeats sweets will more than likely gain weight. The following is the first hypothesis test. It tests the relationship between two variables, income and savings. We have a null hypothesis that states no relationship exists between the two. However, the alternative hypothesis states that a relationship does exist between income and savings. After running a bivariate correlation analysis through PSPP and assuming that the alpha equals 5%, the correlation coefficient of 0.91 was significant and proved to be a positive and almost perfect linear correlation. The null hypothesis was rejected and the alternative hypothesis accepted. Income and savings has a strong correlation. The second hypothesis tests the relationship between the two variables income and stocks. The null hypothesis states that income doesn't affect stock ownership. On the contrary, the alternative hypothesis states that income does affect stock ownership. Although the correlation coefficient was a weak positive, only at 0.19, it still was sufficient enough to reject the null hypothesis. In this test, the alternative hypothesis was accepted. The higher the amount of income, the more stocks are purchased. The third test focused on income and wallet, meaning the money carried in one's wallet or purse. The null hypothesis states that there is no relationship between income and the amount of money carried in one's purse or wallet. The alternative states that a relationship does exist between the two variables. After the test was conducted, the results proved a significant correlation of 1, rejecting the null hypothesis. This is an example of a perfect linear correlation. As one's income rises, so does the amount of money that person carries with them. The fourth hypothesis tested the relationship between savings and stocks. The null hypothesis states that there is no relationships between savings and stocks. The alternative hypothesis states that there is a relationship between savings and stocks. After the test was performed, a significant correlation emerged, and the null hypothesis was rejected. With a correlation coefficient of 0.28, there is a weak positive linear correlation between savings and stocks. A conclusion can be drawn that as savings rise, so too does stock investments. The fifth hypothesis tests the relationship between the variables savings and wallet. The null hypothesis claims that no relationship exists between savings and wallet. The alternative hypothesis claims that there is a relationship between savings and wallet. After running the data through PSPP, a significant correlation was identified. The correlation coefficient was 0.91. The null hypothesis was rejected, and the alternative was accepted. A strong positive linear correlation exists between savings and wallet. The last and sixth hypothesis test measured the relationship between stocks and wallet. The null hypothesis states that stocks and wallet has no relationship. The alternative hypothesis states that a relationship does exist between stocks and wallet. After the test was conducted, a significant correlation emerged. The null hypothesis was rejected because the coefficient correlation was 0.19. Even though this is a weak positive linear correlation, it does show that someone's stock investments increase, so does the amount of money they carry in their wallet or purse. So what were our findings? On test 1, we looked at income and savings, which resulted in a strong positive correlation. Test 2, we looked at the relationship between income and stocks, which resulted in a weak positive correlation. Test 3, we looked at the relationship between income and wallet, which was a perfect correlation. Test 4, we looked at savings and stocks, which also was a weak positive correlation. Test 5 was the relationship between savings and wallet, which resulted in a strong positive correlation. And test 6 looked at stocks and wallet, which resulted in a weak positive correlation. Therefore, as income rises, so should the money in your wallet, the money in your savings account, and your stock ownership. As your savings rise, so does your stock ownership and the amount of money you carry in your wallet. And as your stocks increase, so does the amount of money you carry in your wallet. That concludes the lesson today. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to submit questions and/or feedback.